dark hair and tired eyes. The boy touches his face all over, as if to confirm if he's really incarnated as this character in his favorite game. Speaking of games, what's your favorite game? In this story, our protagonist's favorite game is one that you would consider a sword and magic fantasy RPG. Right now, he's entered the 42nd round of his favorite game. Like many others, he lives a routine lifestyle. But because of Dungeon Brave, aka Danbury, he can endure even his bleak workplace. It never bores him, no matter how many times he plays it. What makes Dunbury different from a regular RPG is that you can deepen your bonds with the heroines in the series and become their lovers. Now back to the game. The teacher is about to announce the top performers at the entrance exams. As the rest of the students hold their breaths stood on the other end of the screen, the protagonist of our story is excited as the teacher finally announces the top 4 people. In 5th place, there's Seal Uranus, whose starting job is a mage. She's followed by Nagisa Sekai, ranked 4th, whose job is a swordsman. In 3rd place, we have Aerith Centria, a cleric. The top ranker in the exam is Leon Praise, whose job is a spellblade. In Danbury, he's also the protagonist of the story and is the hero's descendant. The central story of the game is all about controlling Leon, increasing intimacy with the heroines, and challenging the Demon King. On top of the main story, there are several large and small sub-events in the game. These too are highly popular, but rumor has it that there are a couple of undiscovered sub-events as well. Discovering what these are is one of the true joys of in-depth gameplay elements. What's even more fun in the game is that, depending on the story, the characters' outfits may change. Our avid fan protagonist can't help but admire how beautiful the ladies are. One of the biggest reasons why Danbury sold out so well is that it's considered an adult game. Our protagonist can't help but wear a pleased smile, blushing like crazy, because the players can create a harem in the game. Well, even if it's possible, the harem is not too intense. However, raising intimacy with the heroines is incredibly heart-melting, you know? Of course, many of the players were beyond thrilled upon knowing this, because it balances both the serious aspect of the RPG elements and erotic aspects. Because of the game's success, Danbury is adapted into an anime, a manga, and merchandise that launched several different media. What's more, it even released an all-ages version with all the erotic scenes cut out. Our gamer protagonist, of course, has his collection of all the character figures. Suddenly, his head starts hurting, which he attributes to exhaustion. Maybe he really is too tired today, although he's never experienced this kind of exhaustion before. With that, he decides to sleep it off. Now we have a dark-haired, intimidating character. Tell me, what kind of game do you dislike? As for our protagonist, he really hates Dungeon Brave Soul 2. In this second installment, a certain character who wasn't even named in the first Danbury suddenly becomes the main character here. As seen here, the game's hero Leon happily calls out to the dark-haired character from before, whose name is Xenon. Danbury 2 begins after Leon has finally sealed off the Demon King. In the second installment, you play as a character named Xenon. This new character approaches Leon and becomes a troublesome friend. But what's worse is that he also befriends the heroines and forms a party with them. But the situation takes a turn, and before long, the heroines start to distance themselves from Leon. And the reason for that is because Xenon steals the heroines away from him, that he does a lot of devious and wretched things to the girls, leaving Leon alone and cornered. Xenon even went low, and showed Leon the figure of one of the heroines being violated by the former. Leon can only beg and cry, as the man he considers his friend takes advantage of the heroine before him. Just like that, Leon loses it. Driven to despair, Leon decides to break the seal and unleashes the Demon King, which triggers the end of the world. So, the once heart-stirring tale of love in Danbury quickly becomes a dark and grotesque NTR game in Part 2. This is why our protagonist hates Danbury 2, to the point that he never wants to play it again. But God or some other divine entity must have some different plans for him, because when our protagonist wakes, he finds himself staring up at an intricate ceiling. Well, this is definitely not his room. And now that he notices it, did he have such a slim, muscular build before? This room before him is too luxurious, and that's when he spots the mirror on the wall that he approached it. And to his shock, he couldn't believe the face reflected in the mirror. What the hell is this? This face. It's definitely Xenon. This is the very face he hates the most in Danbury, Xenon Baskerville, that he keeps touching his face all over, wondering what's happening as he falls to his knees. And this is the story of our gamer protagonist, who is reincarnated as the villain he hates in his favorite game. How could this be? This face definitely belongs to Xenon Baskerville.so. Does this mean he's in the world of Dungeon Brave Soul? He can only hug the mirror, locked in his own gaze, because now he is wearing the face of the character he despises the most. And the protagonist of Danbury too? His last memory was of him falling asleep last night. Still, the question is, why did he reincarnate as Xenon out of all people? Did he commit some sort of evil deed in his past life to be reborn as a man who preys on women? Like, if he were going to be reborn, he would have liked it if he were Leon instead. His inner monologue got cut short when a lovely but glum-looking maid entered the room. Almost instantly, the maid gets on her knees, fervently apologizing for entering without his permission. But all Xenon could think of was, who is she? The maid continues that the young master usually doesn't wake up when she knocks, so she almost always enters without permission. But now that it's come to this, she could only apologize and ask for forgiveness. She starts undressing herself, saying she'll accept whatever punishment he'll do to her, and turns to expose her back. The mere sight of her undressing leaves Xenon in a panic, while she tells him to punish her as he usually does. Wait, as usual? Now that he's looking at her back, he notices a few scars, probably from lashings. It made him wonder if the real Xenon had been committing violent acts to this poor girl daily. Was he whipping her as punishment? What a trash of a man. Since he's not the real Xenon, if he doesn't do it, he may look suspicious, so he decides to make a few adjustments. He takes a piece of clothing and puts it over her back, saying he won't punish her today. Still, he made it clear to tell her that if things were the usual, he would have given her at least 10 whippings. So again, he orders her to put her clothes back on. Speaking of clothes, all of his clothes are black, no? So yeah, these are definitely the real Xenon's clothes. The maid returns once she has her clothes on and asks what she should do from now on. Xenon turns to her, and now that he has a good look at her face, she's actually quite a pretty face. Who would have thought that a beauty like this is part of the mob? For starters, he asks her what year, month, and day it is today. She answers that it's April 5th, 101 in the Slayer calendar. Upon hearing that, it just confirms what he already knew, that he really is in the world of Donvor. And did she say that it's April 5th? It was a pretty memorable day for him back then, because it was the entrance ceremony event of the Royal Academy of Sword and Magic in the royal capital. With a smile, he supposes he'll start attending the academy today. But the maid intervenes and asks if he's not going to do today's morning training. Training? Well, she points out that he does it regularly every morning, which is why she thought he would also do it today. This is the first time he heard about the real Xenon's routine, and it's pretty surprising that he didn't expect the real Xenon to actually be a pretty hard-working guy, because there was no depiction of that in his character and the whole Donvor too. Anyway, the maid asks if he wants to head straight to breakfast if he's not going to do today's training. No, he needs to be in character, so he says he'll start training and asks to be taken to the training grounds. They arrive there shortly, and he immediately notices the state of the grounds. It's pretty roughed up. Is this really Xenon's training grounds? He grabs a sword and starts practicing with it, then puts it back after practicing a few swings. Surprisingly, he gradually got used to the real Xenon's body, and it feels like he's been using it ever since he was born. He doesn't know any martial arts, but he's pretty sure that you can't get far with just talent alone. That's when he notices a few target practices put up in the field that he uses one of his magical skills, Dark Blade, and hits every target right in the middle. He remembers that the real Xenon can master advanced magic called Dark Magic, making him somewhat of a skilled swordsman and magic user. But how did a hardworking guy like him become someone who stole other people's girlfriends? He has no idea how he ended up in the character Xenon's body. But since he's already here, our protagonist decides he'll know everything there is to know about the real Xenon. Wait a minute. The only reason why our protagonist hates Xenon in the first place is because he stole other people's women. But now that he's thinking about it, the current timeline is the day of the Academy's entrance ceremony, so technically, it's basically the opening of the game, which means he hasn't stolen any other women yet, so he doesn't have any reason to dislike the character Xenon. Now that he's in Xenon's body, he'll make sure to avoid erotic developments, like in the second installment. And depending on his position, he can even support Leon in defeating the Demon King or avoid similar danger. This is it. He can practically live a chill and relaxed school life. The maid arrives with another helper, and she brought a basin of water for the young master, while the other girl has towels and a change of clothes. Xenon thanks her for the gesture, but this mere act rendered her frozen. As Xenon wipes the sweat off his body, he finally notices she turned into a statue. Why did she turn into a stone? As it turns out, Xenon has never thanked her for everything she did, not once. And we also find out that her name is Reviana, as she nearly faints. In our protagonist's mind, just how terrible of a guy was this Xenon that he doesn't even have basic manners. Since he deviated from the original character, our protagonist decided to improvise that he tells Reviana how he has always been grateful for her. It's just that he was too shy to say thank you until now. He expresses his full appreciation to her and is happy for her unending support. Reviana is overwhelmed by the young master's sincerity, but in his mind, our protagonist can't become a villain like Xenon. So if he's going to slip up one day, he may as well act as if he's a changed man while he still can. And from the looks of it, Reviana is eating up his act. The poor maid must have suffered a lot for her to start sobbing just by being thanked for something so simple. She keeps on crying, proclaiming these are tears of joy and that this is the best day of her life. But what he didn't expect was Reviana's sudden change in attitude. She went from being fearful to borderline obsessed with Xenon. She even claims that she's been rewarded. Naturally, our Xenon tells her that she's overreacting and that this is entirely his fault for not thanking her all those times before. From now on, he's going to rely on her more, which she looks forward to with excitement. Now then, he's off to school. And even the carriage is on brand with his dark aesthetic. Just as he was about to board it, Reviana bade him to take care of himself, all teary-eyed. Her drastic change in attitude only confirms his theory that Reviana must have been subjected to daily violence, which is why his treating her kindly led to her opening herself up completely. He's just going to school, yet she bids him farewell as if he's off to war or something. Xenon couldn't take it and told the coach driver to just go. Now then, a little quiet time for himself. It's about time he starts thinking about just how far he should follow the scenario that won't cause trouble. That today's entrance ceremony marks the beginning of Dambear 2. Here, it will take Leon 2 years to defeat the Demon King along with the heroines. But as Leon's classmate, our Xenon wonders just to what extent he can get himself involved in the main scenario. He had already made up his mind that he won't cheat or steal someone else's girlfriend. After all, what he loves is pure love. It's been established that Leon is the hero who steals the Demon King, and that Xenon's character steals the heroine. From this, the despairing hero resurrects the Demon King, which marks the end of Dambear 2. Along with it is the large-scale magic unleashed by the Demon King that ultimately obliterates the royal capital and everyone else in it. While putting it like that, he supposes that it will be enough if Xenon doesn't steal the women. As for him, he'll wait for Leon to defeat the Demon King and totally ignore the game scenario. It's decided he will not follow the real Xenon's path, that it didn't take long for our Xenon to reach the academy grounds. Looking up at the large entry arch, he couldn't believe he was standing before the very place where Dungeon Brave Soul took place. Let's go. Many other students are already inside the academy grounds, and as soon as he enters, he tries to give himself a little pep talk to calm down that it's pretty pathetic for someone like him to act nervously. Besides, he had already walked through these grounds numerous times in the game. That's when he noticed another surprising thing. The other students avoided him like the plague, and they're not even subtle about it. Okay, now he has finally calmed down. Guess it helped that his energy dropped for this. The entrance ceremony will be held in the auditorium soon, and shortly after, a class-specific orientation will follow. Then, after that, the girls will invite Leon for a social gathering where he will meet and get acquainted with the heroines. Just thinking about it leaves him grinning, because finally he can attend the legendary social gathering event. His snickering to himself, though, does poorly for his image, because the girls are afraid of him. He tries to reach out and tell them there's nothing to be afraid of, but his looks fail him that he turns to 2 other girls and smiles at them, only for it to end up looking creepy, and the girls nearly pale out of fear. Yeah, this one is definitely on him, and not on them. He walks it off and makes a mental note to not try and laugh in front of other people, with students keeping their distance as he passes by them. The auditorium is no different. He sits by himself, because no one wants to sit beside or even near him. Our Xenon can't help but get teary-eyed now that he realizes just how alone he feels. But anyway, he's Xenon Baskerville, the brutal cuckold and villain character in the story. He gaslights himself into thinking he's not lonely, even when he's alone. It took a little while longer before all the students had filled up the auditorium. Once everyone's settled, the head teacher tells them that he'll announce the top students who scored the highest on the entrance exams. Xenon remembers this event as the occasion for unveiling the main heroes. At 5th place, there's Seal Uranus, who stood once. She's the daughter of a local noble from the frontier and is also Leon's childhood friend. The two met at the village, and it was Seal who encouraged Leon to enroll at this academy. Her initial job is a mage, which is a rearguard role that specializes in offensive magic. In our protagonist's eyes, she's also a lively and curious character who is full of energy. Next, ranked 4th, is Nagisa Sekai. Obviously, from her looks alone, you know that she came from an Eastern country with Japanese-style culture. The daughter of a swordsmanship dojo master and a samurai girl, Nagisa carries a certain darkness in her heart. One of the focal points of her storyline is whether or not she could dispel that darkness. As for her initial job, she's a swordsman, and her weapon of choice is a katana. When it comes to speed, she is much faster than Leon. Ranked 3rd is Aerith Centria. She's of noble blood and has a cardinal for a father, which also explains her object-oriented design. A stunning beauty, she has the best rack out of all the heroines. Her initial job is a cleric, and there's also the background of her parents managing the church. Worst of all, she's the pitiful heroine, who is taken both in body and spirit by Xenon. Well, now that our protagonist's here, he won't let that future happen. Our guy is so far into his own head that he failed to hear the head teacher call his name, Xenon Baskerville, as the Academy's runner-up in 2nd place. He keeps grinning to himself about how all the main heroines are so cute that it makes him want to get involved. So what should he do? This time, the head teacher calls his name again, but angrier this time. That snapped our guy out of his musings, as he finally noticed everyone was staring at him with furrowed brows. Oh no, he missed his chance to stand up when he was called earlier. That's when he hears it, the chatter about his family name. Although the Baskervilles are a noble family, their name is tainted because rumors have it that they're the ones who assassinated the previous king. What's more, they're also synonymous with the criminal guild, and there's even talk about how their family is colluding with a neighboring country. This is bad. He accidentally drew unwanted attention to himself. The head teacher hangs his head in disbelief and starts scolding our guy. Sure, he understands Xenon is dissatisfied with his entrance exam results and even commends him for his attitude and aiming for the top as a successor of high-ranking nobility. However, the older man reminds him that they're at the Royal Sword and Magic Academy. Here, nobles and commoners are equal, so it doesn't matter if Xenon comes from the Marquis family. The head teacher scolds him and urges him to refrain from showing disrespectful behavior within the academy grounds. But he didn't mean to be disrespectful. He just missed the timing to stand up. Crap, what will he do now? It's okay to stand up, but won't it make him look pathetic? If he embarrasses himself, he may set himself up for becoming the target of bullies. In the end, he remains seated and apologized to the head teacher while in his seat and promised to keep the older man's advice in mind. There was a deafening silence, and that's when he noticed all the heroines were watching him as well. In his mind, he still apologized, even though it sounded arrogant. The head teacher finally spoke, seeing how defiant Xenon Baskerville is and how he showed that he has no intention of changing his attitude. Oh no, he made it worse, but he already apologized, didn't he? He may look evil, but he's a good person. Thankfully, the head teacher let it go. Since today is a celebratory occasion, the older man won't be pushing this. Plus, if he sees no improvement on Xenon's end, then he's not sure what will happen next. Hearing all that just made him wonder what he did before. And here he thought the main issue was because he didn't stand up in time earlier. In his defense, he's still not used to Xenon's name, which is why he failed to react in time. Continuing with the announcement, the head teacher announces the top achiever, the first place in the entrance exam, Leon, their class president. A handsome blonde boy born as the son of a hero, Leon Brave possesses the power to seal the Demon King that he is Denbora's only protagonist. And even though he's born as a commoner, he has excellent grades and is the top student in class. Being the main character, he's loved by the heroines. His initial job is Rune Knight, an occupation that uses both close-range combat and magic. Only 2 of them appeared in the game. Our protagonist also stares at Leon as he stands, admiring the protagonist as he played in Denbora so many times. That is, until Leon stares back and glares at him. Our Xenon finds this strange, because why would Leon glare at him? It's not like he stole the heroines, so he doesn't know why he's being so hated right now. The head teacher tells Leon to give the greetings as the representative to the new students, so Leon obliges and makes his way to the podium. While doing so, Xenon can't help but overthink whether his rebellious attitude earlier disrupted and bothered Leon. Leon begins his speech by saying he came from humble beginnings as a commoner in the countryside. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't even be here. And yet, here he is, standing at the prestigious Royal Sword and Magic Academy, that he expressed how honored he is and gave thanks to his parents, as well as Seal's parents, who raised him and acted as guardians to him. Furthermore, he also extends his heartfelt gratitude to the faculty and seniors who will guide him from here on out. Listening to his speech, our Xenon thought Leon would proclaim that he'll be a hero or something like that, which is kind of a letdown. Leon continues his speech, saying the reason he entered the academy is to become stronger and protect the country. The Slayer's kingdom is a peaceful country without war, but that doesn't mean there is no evil to be hated. With that said, he vows to become stronger and fight against the evil that causes suffering to people, which had Xenon nodding in approval. That is until Leon adds that the said evil he spoke of is a classmate attending the same school. Xenon didn't expect to hear that, and neither did the others, as they started murmuring among themselves. Leon gazes straight at our Xenon, walking onto him. Our guy, on the other hand, has no idea where all this hatred is coming from. He hasn't even done anything. Why is Leon the protagonist, showing him so much hostility? Is he serious? Our Xenon has a theory. Maybe Damber 2 is the dumpster fire of a staff member who is devastated by his relationship with women. In Damber I, the character of Xenon was just part of the mob, who didn't even have his own illustration. Yet, in Damber 2, he suddenly became the villain protagonist, and was even given a backstory that didn't exist in the first version. That IT makes our boy wonder if the settings changed as a result of the forceful connection between Damber 1 and 2. If that's the case, then could it be possible that Leon started directing towards Xenon, even though the latter hasn't done anything yet? If this is the case, then there's no guarantee that Leon will defeat the Demon King as he should, and the story won't even have a happy ending. Xenon considers the possibility that Leon may be defeated by the Demon King, and their world will perish. Anyway, since the announcement of the top-ranked students is over, the head teacher suggests they proceed to their respective classrooms. The students start filling up each classroom, and our Xenon also does the same. He picks a seat and settles down, then proceeds to ponder over the storyline that if the scenario has changed now, then it just means that all the knowledge he has may not be useful. After all, he planned to do nothing, but if he wants to survive, then he needs to exert his utmost effort. For now, he decides on two things: that he will not move carelessly to hinder Leon's actions, and he will do his best not to disturb Leon so the hero can live a peaceful school life. So far, it's not working, because Leon is constantly glaring at our Xenon, as if he's trying to pick a fight. That look alone is more like an accusation that Xenon has already done something that in the meantime, all Xenon could do was look away. Well, there's another method, and a more reliable one, and it's to join Leon and his party in defeating the Demon King. After all, Xenon is the third strongest character in the game, after Leon and the Demon King, that if they defeat the Demon King, then all of them should be able to live a safe school life without the world ending. But that problem is for a different time, because right now, he can't even figure out what to do with Leon glaring at him. Staying true to the storyline of Danganronpa, one is pretty hard, especially since it entails that he has to play a wholesome Xenon right here and now. Class has already started, and our Xenon finally notices the teacher. Even this teacher fell prey to the evil Xenon, but with our protagonist manning his body, he'll make sure that will never happen. But wait a minute, why did Xenon do that in the first place? Enough of that, because we fast forward to the end of the class. The teacher announces that the students are now free to observe club activities as they please. Soon enough, the hallways and corridors of the academy are filled with students, discussing club activities and whatnot, and yes, including Leon. For our Xenon, of course, he's flying solo. Humans' likes and dislikes are determined by the first impression within a few seconds. Because of his dark aura and scary looks, it doesn't help that Xenon's character is also part of the notorious Marquis family, who are known for their tyranny throughout the kingdom. It's not like he has anything better to do at the academy. So with that, our guy goes home, so he can think of what to do next. He boards the same lavish and dark carriage, and the moment he steps out of it, Reviena's voice echoes across the halls, welcoming him. He's shocked to see the maid standing by the doorway, but more importantly, how long has she been standing there? Isn't it cold out? She assures her it's not, taking his coat off his hands as she says so. Plus, she also tells him that his father is waiting, so he should come to the office immediately. A shadow passes over Xenon's already dark face, and even Reviena notices that. Grandolph Baskerville, Xenon's father, is the ruler of the night and the kingdom, that he's the reason why Xenon's character fell off the right path. And based on the information available in the game, you can tell how much of an unparalleled villain he is. He is the leader who controls the underworld and governs the crime guild. He's every bad news there is, and he also has every wicked deed on the list. Organized crime, trafficking, selling slaves, you name it. And worst of all, he's a slayer who manipulates assassins and buries everything in darkness, which kind of makes you wonder if Grandolph Baskerville is a variant of the Demon King himself. As for our guy, no matter how much he wants to avoid getting involved in the real Xenon's family matter, he can't exactly shy away from this, since it's his father after all. With that, our Xenon walks over to his old man's office and knocks before entering. As soon as he steps foot in the room, Xenon is attacked by Bloody Chain, rendering him immobile as he falls to the floor. His father looms over him and greets him, since it has been a while since the father and son spent time together. Poor Xenon could barely form a word as he finally came face to face with the Grandolph Baskerville. His old man is also a dark magic user, and this particular technique, Bloody Chain, restrains and immobilizes their target. What's more, it also deals intermittent damage over time, which is a pretty intense way for torture. Grandolph kicks his son, disappointed that his son placed second in the entrance exam, but keeps on kicking him, angry that Xenon couldn't even get the top rank in such a small academy. Is Xenon really the firstborn in the Baskerville family? Poor Xenon could only take his father's beatings, with the older man forcing his ideals on his son. Baskervilles are the ones who dominate the night, which is why they must be the strongest. For that, he will not allow any sort of defeat in their name. He keeps on beating Xenon for sullying the pride of the Baskerville family. Our guy couldn't even open his eyes due to the extreme beating, something his old man also scorns him for, that he says Xenon is pretty pathetic and disappointing if he can't even take this kind of beating. With that, Grandolph promises worse things to come if Xenon fails to take the top rank in the next exam. He turns away, saying he'll be away due to work, and orders his son to listen to the orders of the steward and not neglect his training. Xenon manages to walk himself out of his father's study, bruised and bloody. Reviena was right there waiting for him, and caught him just as he was about to lose consciousness. The maid cradles him, promising to start treatment right away, as she makes Xenon drink a potion that it was late at night when Xenon finally came to. He checks his body, and sees that the damage done by his father is disappearing. Then, he sees Reviena slumped over his bedside, dozing quietly, and looking at her like this makes him comment on how nice she is, be that as it may. Our Xenon believes that all that kindness is wasted on a depraved bastard who steals other people's lovers. He can't help but wonder why such a wonderful person like her is serving trash like him. He suddenly remembers the beatings he took from his father earlier, and the mere memory of it makes his body relive the pain. For one, he couldn't believe that there's a person who actually exists who can do such harsh and vile things to their own child. There is no doubt about it. The reason why Xenon went off track is because of Grandolph Baskerville. It must be because Xenon experienced a lot of abuse daily, even when he was much younger. Because of the accumulating burdens, it also put a strain on him mentally, until one day he finally snapped. This led to Xenon's character framing Leon and stealing the heroines from him. Factor in the fact that Leon came from the hero's bloodline, that he's liked by many and loved by the heroines. Plus, he also has the top ranks in the class, closely followed by Xenon. Then there's Xenon, a guy born into a family and despised by many. It didn't help that he was also abused and grew up without his father's love. This made our Xenon believe that Xenon's character from the game grew envious of Leon. What's more, Leon went on to become a hero by defeating the Demon King, earning the love of many more. The hero Leon has exactly everything Xenon does not possess, which makes our guy believe that the original Xenon must have harbored intense jealousy and hatred towards the main protagonist. As an act of brutal revenge, or maybe even out of spite, Xenon cuckolded Leon and stole all the heroines away from him. Considering all these in mind, our Xenon has decided on a new goal in this world. For now, there's someone who should be defeated before the Demon King, and his solid goal is to take down this person. It's none other than the character Xenon's own father, Grandolph Baskerville. This evil man is an enemy who should not exist. Now that our protagonist is reborn, he intends to live freely and enjoy this world. For that to happen, he will deny both the script of the Danbury production staff and the father of the evil leader. Then there's Reviana, who stirs in her sleep. Suddenly, she sits up straight and sees the young master watching her sleep. She immediately goes for a hug and bursts out crying again. Our Xenon couldn't stop her chest from smushing his face, quickly followed by muffled sounds as the maid clutches him tightly. Reviana checks and sees that Xenon has passed out again, which makes her cry out in panic some more. As the night grew deeper and our Xenon started to feel better, he decided to write everything he remembered about the game. The character's information, storyline details, and other useful details to confirm if it's the same as what was happening in real time, that he made sure to write it in Japanese so that it could be seen without issue. As to what will happen starting now, one of the crucial things he needs to do is obtain important items. After jotting everything down, he files all the documents together and keeps them safe. The next thing he needs to do is figure out how to live in this world. But to begin with, he doesn't even know why he's sent into this world. Be that as it may, he's now Xenon Baskerville, and he will continue to live his life as Xenon. To do that, he must defeat Grandolph first. But another thought occurred to his mind. Is leaving the Baskerville Manor even allowed? If he does this, there's a chance Grandolph will come after him using gangsters and assassins. Plus, if it deviates from the storyline, it will also become impossible to understand Leon's actions. If it were up to Xenon alone, it would be ideal if the Demon King were sealed, the same as in the Danbury storyline. But if Leon loses to the Demon King, then the world is doomed. Xenon sits on his bed that night, thinking that if he has to grow stronger, then he needs to acquire and develop some skills. But first, he needs to check his own. He murmurs status, and a prompt appears that shows all information about his current skills and abilities. In Danbury, there are no levels. All the skills he acquired have proficiency, and it grows stronger by increasing it. Now that he's looking at his stats, he sees that his job is the same as the hero Leon, a magic swordsman. But out of all of that, the things that made him frown were the numbers on his skills. He could only hang his head, though it's a bit of a pain. Because why did the proficiency increase in training do? He understands that for swordsmanship and dark magic. But that one? Xenon hopes that he won't have to use it in the future. The maximum value for combat skills is still 0, so at least there's still room for growth. And to become stronger, he needs to learn new skills and increase his proficiency. If he raises specific skills to a certain level, then the path to advance from the initial class to a higher class will open up. Let's see. So he needs to acquire items, and then there are a lot of items he wants to secure too. It's a given that strong weapons and armor can increase ability values, and then there are specific items that allow the user to learn new skills and magic. But wait, there's more. There are also accessories and damage-reducing talismans, so these are the ones he definitely wants to get his hands on. Moving on, there are also items. Now, these can be obtained through 3 options. Purchase them at stores, dive into dungeons to get them yourself, or earn them as rewards during team events. However, there are rare items that can only be bought at auctions, and even that requires a huge sum up front. On the other hand, if you want to obtain items in dungeons, you'd better brace yourself because the items are random. For event items, Xenon sets them aside exclusively for Leon. After all, the hero may need it to defeat the Demon King, and it would be troublesome if Xenon does something stupid and Leon ends up losing to the Demon King. Of course, he remains loyal to his purpose of avoiding the main scenario for the Danbury game, but he also needs to keep out of Leon's way. Reviana knocks on his door and pulls him out of his reverie. She walks in, pushing Xenon's breakfast tray, since she thought the young master may still be feeling unwell. This pleases him because he is starting to get hungry. As he sits at the table, Xenon notices that all the dishes have helpful benefits. The sandwich and soup she brought restore health, while the coffee heals status ailments. From these alone, he can really feel the extent of Reviana's concern and care. He thanks her again for her efforts. But Reviana claims that she's just fulfilling her duties as a maid, so she didn't do anything that warrants Xenon's gratitude. And yet, he still insists on thanking her, leaving her beet red as she proceeds to cry. To his shock, he sees blood splattering on the floor. Before he can even ask about it, Reviana is already running at the door, apologizing and saying she'll take the dishes later. He still can't believe that a beautiful girl like Reviana got so excited from hearing him thank her, to the point that she got a nosebleed. That's scary and cute at the same time. That IT just made him wonder just how much Reviana admired her young master. Well, when he thinks about it, Xenon's character has a lot of allies, so there was no need to go loco and steal someone else's girlfriend. After having breakfast, our Xenon got ready and left the room. He sees Zeus, the head butler of the Baskervilles, already waiting for him at the end of the hall. He's also in charge of overseeing the management of the whole estate. Zeus is worried about the young master and decides to check on him. Seeing how Xenon didn't practice in the garden this morning, Ian answer. Xenon asks if the older man would snitch on him to his father for slacking off. Zeus answers that Xenon's father only hopes to see his son grow into a strong individual worthy of the Baskerville family. Furthermore, Grandolph Baskerville also has high expectations for Xenon, which is why Zeus hopes the young master will not betray those expectations. With that, the older man bows to Xenon. The latter walks past him and assures the butler that he shouldn't worry, because he will meet his father's expectations. Zeus stands and asks if Xenon has any plans to get stronger. Before he leaves, Xenon says that there are other ways to become stronger apart from practicing swinging swords. He vows to become strong enough to surprise his father in his own way, and with that, he's off to school. A week has passed since then, and everything pretty much remains the same. Xenon remains alone as ever, and his classmates still talk about him, seeing how menacing his face is. On the other hand, Leon is pretty consistent in showing hostility towards him. But it doesn't matter now. When it comes to studying in middle school, it's no problem for our protagonist. Using magic also seems to be ingrained in his body, so it comes to him pretty easily. But other than that, the one class he's looking forward to the most is almost upon them. Today, the teacher announces that their lesson will be about dungeon exploration and instructs the students to form a party before they head out. Dungeons are layers of monsters that exist all over the world of Danbury. Inside, monsters and treasures naturally occur, and it's a given that a dungeon houses a mountain of treasures that produces resources infinitely. The only downside of a dungeon is that if they're left unattended, it's like a ticking time bomb that will endlessly spew out monsters. Now, it's a known fact that the Academy was also established with the goal of exterminating the monsters that dwell in the dungeons. Basically, the Academy's goal is to develop human resources to protect the lives of the people. Xenon reads the name of the dungeon within the Academy, the Playground of Sages. With everyone gathered at the dungeon's entrance, the teacher spots certain loners in the class, aka Xenon to be precise. So, he has to air out that he's perfectly fine on his own. Plus, it's not like he needs anyone else, that he's fine on his own doing the tutorial dungeon. Even their teacher can't really say much to that. But thankfully, another classmate steps up and says she's fine on her own, Nagisa Sakai. Our protagonist remembers her character as distrustful at first, refusing to interact with anyone. But once she was together with Leon, she managed to open her heart up, which is crucial for her future. The teacher tells them that exploring the dungeon solo is pretty dangerous, especially if it's their first time doing so. With that said, she asks if it's okay for Nagisa and Xenon to form a duo. But the two of them won't budge and insist on going solo. For our Xenon, it's because he doesn't want to mess up Leon's storyline. So, he's bent on keeping minimal contact with Nagisa, one of the main heroines. The teacher can only release an exasperated sigh, but she did try her best to set them up for the better now. Honestly speaking, she tells them that there aren't any particularly dangerous monsters in the dungeon, but if anything happens inside, then it's their own responsibility. And in the unlikely event that they may lose their life inside, she tells them that the Academy will not take responsibility. With that said, she urges everyone not to act brashly. Now that she has said everything that needs to be said, the teacher instructs them to start exploring in order. The next party will enter the dungeon 10 minutes after the previous party enters. She also urges them to make sure they bring back the collected items and drop materials from the monsters they will find. The management guild doesn't buy any of the items, but those will be reflected in their grades. With that, some of the students proclaim that they'll go first, but others are against it, insisting their group should go ahead. Soon enough, everybody is bickering with everybody. unable to decide on which order they should go with. Looking at them like this, our Xenon can only sigh since everyone's eager to get into the dungeon. All this bickering could have been avoided if only the teacher had decided on the order. As it turns out, he's not the only one pissed at all the bickering. Nagisa looks at their classmates in disdain, frowning since they all act as if they're going on an outing, which is pretty reckless. Our Xenon is more surprised that she's talking to him, that it's the first time a classmate has spoken to him after all. Nagisa points out that everyone can't help it since Xenon's face spells out trouble, and there's also the fact that they're scared of him. They can't help it that he couldn't be more sorry for that. But other than that, he's curious what Nagisa is up to. She simply answers that, out of all of them, he's the only one who looks like he had nothing to do. With that, she marches ahead and says to Xenon that she wants him to tell everyone that if they haven't decided the order yet, then she'll take the lead. Xenon couldn't even do anything, since she continued to walk ahead without looking back. My, this girl has a surprisingly good personality. As she walks past her classmates, the others start calling her out, saying it's not fair, but even all their complaints fall on her deaf ears. With her already inside, the others are still going on about how unfair she was, so this time Xenon steps in and lets them have it. He starts shouting at his classmates, scolding them, because they couldn't even decide on anything, and it's wasting everyone's precious time that he doesn't care if it's rock, paper, scissors, or lottery, so they should hurry the hell up and make up their minds since the sun is already setting. His sudden outburst got them all to shut up, and in the end, they quietly decided the order through rock, paper, scissors. The order of entry went by smoothly, thanks to his scolding. The teacher approaches Xenon, commending him for his surprising leadership skills. She didn't expect it at all coming from him, which is why she has a newfound respect for him. In answer, he tells her that she doesn't need to change her opinion of him, and she doesn't even know anything about him, right? Well, that's true, as much as it embarrasses her to admit it, but it seems like she also acted the same as Xenon's classmates. Everybody else keeps their distance from him because of his looks and family background, and as a teacher, she should have an objective viewpoint, and it's something she must reflect on. But other than that, she's worried if he's okay with being the last one to enter the dungeon, since it looks like Xenon also didn't take part in the rock, paper, scissors that the others did. This is because he wants to confirm something. All items and treasures obtained in the dungeon are subject to a certain tax, right? He wants to know if there's a tax on the items found in this dungeon, too. The teacher reminds him that this is just part of their lesson, and since the dungeon is under the Academy's management, no taxes will be imposed. However, all of the items he will obtain here are worth only a pittance if they're sold. She thinks it's also important to add that there are almost no casualties in this dungeon because there are no strong monsters here. Xenon couldn't care less about the monsters, and it pleases him to know about the items not being taxed. With that, he tells her that he'll do his best to search for items. He starts walking towards the dungeon entrance, with the teacher telling him that he should turn back if it ever becomes dangerous for him. Xenon just waves her off, but in his mind, he thinks she's a good guy and reliable teacher because she's still worried over a guy like him. Just by looking at her, he can't believe she's the same woman who gets locked up in a basement and disciplined harshly like a dog by Xenon's character in the game, our protagonist. He will never allow a thing like that of Dawnbird A2 to happen here. With that, he stands at the entrance, excited to conquer this dungeon. A couple of slimes bounce along the dark corridor when Xenon bursts through, using his shadow edge, instantly cutting the little monsters in half. Now lifeless, he stares at the creatures' bodies until they start to reveal their core. Xenon picks up the item drop. It's the slime core. Looking at it like this, he confirms that this real-life scenario is just the same as how it was back in the game. Since this is a tutorial, there are no mobs and traps, which makes it pretty easy to solo. He continues ahead and chances upon floating balls. These creatures dive straight to Xenon, but he cuts them down easily, and just like the slimes from earlier, he picks up the item drops. All in all, it's no big deal. It's like a warm-up that if he has any concerns, it would be that monster located on the bottom floor. The further he goes into the dungeon, the more he encounters slimes in greater numbers. This time, the slimes are moving in unison, probably so they could attack Xenon better. But it doesn't matter for our Xenon, because he knows small fries will always be small fries. He faces them head-on, thrilled to take down all these slimes, because they're nothing but punching bags. It didn't take long for Xenon to wipe out that slime colony. So he continues walking until he reaches the corridor that leads to the lower levels that he makes his way down, and he's barely entered the lower portion when he sees 3 of his classmates who were injured. One of them is in far worse shape compared to the 2, and overhears them talking. The other guy feels like crap for losing against such a small fry, but he tries not to think too much about it, that it's his first dungeon exploration after all. Meanwhile, our Xenon is killing it, leaving a trail of dead bodies in his wake while he casually walks along the dark corridors. He descends into the deeper levels until he's finally on the 3rd floor of the lower levels. Now that he remembers it, only Seal, Leon, and Nagisa were able to get to the deepest level of the dungeon. On his right, he sees more of his classmates, and many more are injured this time around. He already expected this much, that the number of casualties would increase the deeper they goed. That's when he notices 2 of his classmates doing something out of the box. A girl is healing another boy whose head is resting on her lap. It's an A class with a cheat skill, but he decides to look away. Xenon knows that if you team up with brainless idiots, they're bound to drag you down sooner rather than later. He hears a voice telling everybody to line up so she can heal them. It's Aerith. The blonde beauty freely heals everyone, and what's even more impressive is that no matter how many people she heals, her mana never runs out. As expected of Aerith's sentry, the sage, her classmates continue to thank her, while Xenon stands dumbfounded in his spot that he immediately slaps the hell out of his face, trying not to get too enthralled with Aerith. If he had stared any longer, he's pretty sure he would have fallen for her, and we can't have that. It would be a bad ending for the Demon King's resurrection if he suddenly became the cuckold protagonist, that so. To avoid falling into temptation, Xenon walks away. However, Aerith already saw him. She approaches him and calls out to Xenon. The latter turns, greeting the Academy's 3rd place, but Aerith looks up to him with an almost smoldering gaze. The other students start to get nervous at the sudden face-off, but there's no malice between the two. For Aerith, she just wants to heal Xenon, but upon checking his body, it looks like he doesn't need it. Our Xenon points out that this is just a tutorial dungeon and asks her what she has been doing all this time. She's been healing everyone, that's what. After all, she's someone who can't leave an injured person alone. Xenon looks away, commenting on how merciful she is, but shouldn't she also keep moving forward? Aerith smiles and happily tells him that she has permission from her friends. If anything, she believes it more important for someone here to move forward a step at a time for the party to reach their goal. Well, Xenon can't say much about them being buddy-buddy, and all that is for Aerith. He knows she's the very embodiment of dedication and self-sacrifice, and she would even willingly sacrifice herself just for anyone. In Danbare, there were moments when she risked her life to try and save people who were in trouble. Sure, her saintly behavior is admirable, but for our protagonist, it only made him anxious in the game that she's a good girl all in all. But he can't help but feel a little annoyed because of her selflessness. He can't understand people who would sacrifice themselves to help others, and would even willingly give up their own happiness for other people. It's absurd. Our Xenon continues on his solo exploration, turning his back against Aerith without another word. It's not his place to tell her off. He'll just leave all that scolding for the hero. Aerith calls out to him and asks if there's a problem, but Xenon doesn't answer directly. Instead, he just tells her that he's going ahead and that she should continue helping others, but only to do it in moderation. As he heads to a dark tunnel, Xenon reminds himself that he's not the one who will save Aerith, the wounded saint, it's Leon. The hero should be the one to free Aerith from the cycle of self-sacrifice, so it's not his call to make. Just like the real villain Xenon, he'll leave with style. He descends a long, winding tunnel, so deep that light barely reaches the deepest parts, until finally he's on the 4th floor. No sooner had he set foot on the level than a group of rabid rabbits with horns came running to attack him. But alas, they were no match for our Xenon, who cuts them all down with ease. Still, he finds none of his classmates in the area, which goes to show that none of them got very far. So Leon, Seal, and Nagisa have most likely reached the lowest floor by now. He bags the item drops and remembers that if he's following the storyline of Danbury, then Leon should have probably defeated that monster by now. Meanwhile, our Leon is stuck with these measly flying orbs as his opponents. He's obviously unsatisfied with this, but is this it? Does this wrap up his first dungeon experience? Just then, a cry of pain pierces through the cave, making Xenon turn in the direction of the voice. It's coming from that cavern that he hears more voices, fronting at what the others just did, and telling somebody else to get back. Xenon dashes in their direction, and by the sound of their voice, he wonders how bad those people must be struggling to make that sound. As Xenon emerges from the corridor, he sees two of his classmates, and spots the thing that's keeping both classmates preoccupied, that it's a gargoyle. But wait, shouldn't that monster be on the lowest floor? The creature attacks and slashes the girl named Alicia, angering the boy, even though he's badly beaten as he is. The gargoyle snickers in reply, bent on killing the humans, and even almost obsessed with doing it. Xenon is confused because this monster isn't supposed to be here, that they're supposed to fight it on the lowest floor. In the game's storyline, Leon, Seal, and Nagisa fight together, and Leon awakens the powers of the hero's blood. That alone is supposed to drive the gargoyle back. Oh no, he forgot about it. But the gargoyle actually ran away somewhere during the fight. This incident was briefly mentioned in the game, and how the monster killed several of their classmates while fleeing. Because of what happened, Leon couldn't help but blame himself for the death of his classmate. This made him reflect deeply on his weakness, inspiring him to train harder, which is the classic growth flag. Looking at these two who are being hounded by the gargoyle, Xenon finally understands that the classmates who died in the game are these two, that they're nothing but mob characters who were compelled to die. But they should have their own lives too, right? Seeing the boy struggle in front of him, Xenon remembers the pain of Leon and Danbeer. For the hero Leon's growth, this boy must have his life taken. Xenon looks away, murmuring to himself that helping them would be bad, right? For Leon to hate the demon race and grow as a hero, this classmate of his needs to die. Our Xenon contemplates what's happening before his eyes, because if he decides to step up here, the future where Leon defeats the Demon King and saves the world might change. With that, he sheathes his sword and turns away. He chooses to ignore what's happening before his eyes, and can only hope these two won't take it the wrong way. Just then, the gargoyle finally disarms his classmate, leaving them both exposed and vulnerable. As our Xenon continues to walk away, he stops in his tracks when he hears them trying to save each other, even though it's futile. The two huddle together, seeing how they have no choice but to accept death. But suddenly, something strikes the gargoyle, knocking it off balance. These two can't believe it, as someone stands between them and the monster. Our Xenon fights the gargoyle head-on, because he couldn't help it in the end. Being the villain doesn't suit him after all. Xenon's classmate shouts from behind, "Aren't you Baskerville?" But our protagonist shushes him instead. He justifies this intervention by saying a hero who can't grow stronger just because of a rewritten scenario isn't a true hero. And if he abandons someone in a situation like this, then that would only mean that he really has become a piece of trash. With that said, our Xenon proclaims that he refuses to let his classmates die just for the sake of the scenario. Obviously, the gargoyle is not too happy with this intervention, and he's pissed at Xenon for it, promising the human that he won't get away with it. That threat just makes Xenon laugh, as he jumps straight into the fray, claiming that a mere tutorial boss like him has no right to talk like that. Plus, he's a great villain whom the protagonist of Danbeer can't even beat. Did this gargoyle, a mob monster, really think he stands a chance against Xenon? The gargoyle unfurls its wings and lets out a roar, kicking Xenon, but only to end up missing him. Xenon attacks the monster's limb, but it has no effect. He's pretty tough. The gargoyle cackles again, shouting that it's all useless. Xenon's a little annoyed that his physical attacks don't work. But if memory serves him right, this gargoyle has the same level of strength as the monster you encounter mid-game. With the rusty sword as the starting equipment, he can't land a single blow on the monster. So this time, he tries something different, that he uses dark magic and hurls Shadow Edge at the gargoyle. Now that attack definitely hurt the monster. He knows it. The gargoyle has high physical stats, but low magic resistance. So in this case, it's pretty obvious that our Xenon's only option is to attack it with magic. The only question is, how many dozen magic attacks does he need to execute to take it down? The gargoyle flies away, and Xenon notices a piece of shrapnel forming on the monster's forearms. The gargoyle fires all of these in Xenon's direction, which the latter dodges. Standing before this humongous monster, even our Xenon knows that this particular enemy takes a whole party to defeat. Unfortunately for him, he's a solo player so despite facing this danger, Xenon pushes on. This time, he plans to finish it all with one critical hit. The gargoyle swings its arms to try and swat him, but Xenon uses that as leverage and starts climbing the length of the monster's arm, that he charges straight at the gargoyle's head, because he knows where its weakness is. Xenon makes his way up to the monster's chest and stabs it at the junction of its neck and chin, as the gargoyle lets out a roar of pain. You see, all enemy characters in Donburi have a set weak point, so when they're attacked there, it will be treated as a critical hit. In the case of the gargoyle, this enemy's weak spot is just right under its chin. Xenon asks the monster how it feels to be killed by a lesser opponent, knowing this gargoyle went on a killing spree of their classmates when he was defeated by the hero. This must be pretty humiliating even for an event boss, right? The gargoyle tries to stay in character and is about to repeat its usual mantra of kill all humans, but it doesn't get to do that. Xenon unleashes his hellflare, the attack piercing through the gargoyle's skull, as the monster is finally subjugated. Xenon sheathes his sword and tells the dying monster that the strongest starting job in the game is the magic swordsman, which is him and Leon. The gargoyle finally collapses on the floor, as our protagonists say that there's no way he would lose to a weak starting boss like this. As the monster's body fades to dust, it leaves the usual item drop, but this one is way bigger than the others. Xenon picks it up, realizing that this is the first time he has fought properly ever since he came to this world. This item in his hand is proof that he won. Still, he doesn't know how defeating the event monster would affect the story. But for now, he'll just relish in the fact that he was able to save a life that was supposed to die in the games after picking the item drops. Xenon turns his attention to his injured classmates. He sees the guy giving the girl a recovery potion and asks if they're okay. The latter smiles and tells him they're okay, adding that Xenon saved them big time. Xenon notices the multiple recovery potions on the floor, which makes him think that these guys are running low on healing potions. He hands 2 of his potions to his classmates, but the latter are reluctant to accept them since they don't have anything on him. Xenon says it's fine since the potions are cheap anyway. The poor guy cries at this unexpected act of kindness before letting their unconscious classmate drink the potion. Xenon walks away upon seeing the girl's condition improve. The guy bows his head low on the floor, thanking Xenon for saving their necks. Well, it's no biggie for our hero, they're his classmates after all. But the boy wouldn't shut up because he's not only thanking him for the potion, but also for taking down that monster. The poor guy never even thought a strong monster like that would appear in the dungeon, and it's not like he let his guard down either. Xenon tells him that thing was an irregular, and even if they lost, it wouldn't mean a thing. But still, the guy feels so useless. It's the leader's fault, his fault that their friend died, that if only he had been stronger, then everyone wouldn't have had to face such a cruel event. He keeps bashing his fist into the ground out of frustration. Seeing him this way, it makes Xenon think that this guy has a strong sense of responsibility, that he's too good for a mob with the way he feels responsible for his teammate's injury. Moved by such intense emotions, Xenon suggests to the other that if he feels responsible, then it's all the more reason to get stronger. He needs to be strong enough so that he can protect his friends next time. The other guy looks up with tears in his eyes and wipes them away. Xenon is right. He just needs to be stronger, just like Xenon. Our Xenon replies that the other doesn't need to see him as an example. They'll be spending a long while at the academy, so doing their best is just fine, right? The guy apologizes and thanks Xenon again for everything he did. But at this point, our protagonist is starting to get a little annoyed at the former. But his classmate explains that he owes Xenon a proper apology, given how he misunderstood our hero. Like most, if not all of the characters so far, the boy thought Xenon was a much worse individual, with his scary face and being a member of the notorious Baskervilles. Xenon takes it all in stride, well aware of his looks and his family's reputation. But what he doesn't expect is what his classmate says to him next, that he, Xenon Baskerville, turned out to be a good guy. Xenon could have just turned his back and ditched them earlier, yet he went out of his way by saving them and endangering himself. Plus, he even shared some of his potions with them, even if he, and practically the whole class, ignored him in the classroom. This guy gives a 90-degree bow and apologizes to Xenon with sincerity. Such a heartfelt expression flusters our protagonist. But since he has a role to play, he just cleared his throat in response. Now that he thinks about it, he has always been a loner, and this is the first time a classmate has properly talked to him. After being in solitude for too long, even our protagonist has no idea what to say. Needless to say, he's embarrassed. Xenon takes one of the item drops from his pocket and gives it to his classmate, that he tells the other guy that he shouldn't worry too much, because even Xenon himself is aware of how scary his face is, and that the Baskervilles are evil. Besides the item drops, Xenon also hands the guy a monster-repelling magic incense before he goes ahead. This one only works for repelling weak monsters, though. Still, he thinks the guy and their other classmates should be fine fighting against monsters of that caliber. His classmate couldn't be more grateful for everything Xenon did, vowing to repay this favor someday. For the first time, our hero flashes a genuine smile towards someone besides Ravienna, saying the latter can just repay him when he succeeds. Xenon continues deeper into the dungeon and encounters a pack of dark wolves, but before the monsters could even attack him, our hero had already taken them down. Compared to the gargoyle, these monsters are easier small fries. As he progressed deeper, there is a gradual change in the architecture of the place, and from rocky caverns, the surrounding area is now built of polished bricks. This is the lowest floor, aka the playground of the wise. As soon as Xenon enters this level, he notices that there are other people already there. Leon is surprised to see him there, and on both his sides are Nagisa and Seal. Our hero asks if they were okay, but he already expected this much from the descendant of the hero. Leon asks him in return how he knew they were in danger, but it suddenly clicked. Was it all Xenon's doing? Xenon just shrugs, having absolutely no idea what Leon is angry about. What he knows is that a powerful monster appeared earlier, and he just thought Leon and the others encountered it too. Wait a minute, so does this mean that Xenon was attacked by the monster too? Leon finds it unbelievable that Xenon managed to escape unharmed. The latter explains that even if he's unharmed, the monster has injured their other classmates. Leon's knees buckle upon hearing that. He feels shame, regret, and disappointment in himself all at once and starts crying. If only he hadn't let the monster slip away. Seal cries along with him, consoling him that it's not his fault. If Leon wasn't with them, then she and Nagisa would have been killed. It was Leon who protected them against the monster. But this was not enough for the hero Leon, as he blames himself even further. Their classmates would have never been hurt, and he only defeated the monster properly then and there. With this, Leon slams himself with disdain. A hero's descendant? Who's he kidding? He's nothing but a powerless man. Xenon can only watch him as Leon continues to lament his shortcomings. But throughout this whole drama, Nagisa is the only one unmoved by all of this, while Xenon can sigh. In the original scenario, the enemy that slipped away from Leon ended up killing a classmate of theirs. From there, Leon experiences a dramatic growth due to intense regret. But given how Xenon made a couple of changes, he wonders if they can still expect the same growth as the one in the original scenario.